What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma if you're new here, and I love to talk about all things Peloton cycling and fitness. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post every single Sunday. In today's video, I am coming at you with another review of a yoga program on Peloton. I recently reviewed the Flow to Finish program by Mariana Fernandez, and that was a 1-week program all geared towards like preparing for a race, which I really enjoyed, even though I wasn't preparing for a race, and I made a whole video about that. But they have quite a few yoga programs, and I really like the yoga programs because I have been getting more into yoga. I feel like I've said this a million times already, but I still struggle to pick yoga classes on my own, because when I got really into yoga, I was still at Equinox, so I would just go to the yoga classes there and the instructors would just do whatever. So now that I have freedom of choice on Peloton, it's almost overwhelming. So I've really been enjoying trying out the yoga programs because all of the hard thought has been done for me. So this week I'm going to be doing the Power Restorative Yoga with Ross. The description is, in order to achieve peak performance, our bodies must take time for rest and recovery. In the 7-day yoga program, Ross will teach you how to use the ability to listen to your body to maximize its capacity to heal. So I'm interested. I literally don't know what Power Restorative Yoga is. Power Restorative sounds kind of like an oxymoron, to be honest, because is this going to be like power yoga or restorative yoga? They're very different. I do really like Ross though. Mariana is probably my #1 yoga instructor, but Ross is probably my #2. He brings, good attitude. I think he's very knowledgeable. And this again is just a 1-week program. We love the little 1-week programs, and it is 6 days of the week. So pretty much a class almost every day. And today is day 1. There's 2 classes on the docket, but the first one is a 5-minute intro to Power Restorative. And I assume that this is going to be just an introduction because Mariana had one as well. And I find these kind of weird. He just talks to you for 5 minutes about what the program's going to be about, but whatever, maybe we'll learn something new. And then right on after that, we're gonna jump into the 30-minute foundational space class. It is tagged beginner, and the description is create an optimal environment for your potential and capacity to heal. So let's get right on into these 2 classes and, see what this program is about. That was a very interesting class. So the 5-minute intro to restorative yoga was mostly just Ross talking, but I actually found it pretty informative compared to Mariana's 5-minute intro. Basically, Ross just got into what restorative power yoga is, which is good because I did not know. And he even gave an example. First, we sat cross-legged and did a twist of our spine either way. And he's like, yeah, this is a normal stretch you would do. But think for power restorative yoga that we're pressing down. So basically, all of the moves are having your pelvis press down, really root into the floor. And that kind of works your core and works some different muscles, which is what makes it power restorative to my understanding. So then we got into the foundations class, and right at the beginning, he was like, don't expect this to be a flow. It's more holding different moves, and it's going to feel more like a workshop because we'll essentially do one move and go into the other. And I completely agree with that. It was interesting. I'm not exactly sure if I had it right at the beginning. I feel a little more confident towards the end that I was feeling it. But yeah, definitely a lot of holding a pose that's not necessarily hard. Sometimes it was lunges, which is a little harder to hold endlessly. But then sometimes it would just be standing. The position wouldn't necessarily be hard, but the hard part was really listening to what he says and follow it. So a lot of it was anchoring down on one side, creating space in your back ribs, at your chest, getting the position exactly right, I think is kind of the hard part. And it was like all in the little details, like exactly where you were supposed to move. So definitely interesting, very, very slow moving. I think the first 5 minutes we literally just like held lunges on both sides while like trying to do very, very small adjustments to like feel this opening up. It was interesting. I'm excited to see what the rest of the classes are like. This is very outside my comfort zone. I've never done anything like this, and I definitely have to like stay focused because it is a very slow moving class. But it does feel rewarding if you've like done every single little thing, like you've opened up the ribs, you've opened up the chest, you're grounding in, like then it feels good. I did enjoy it, definitely something different. It is also beginner friendly. He gave a lot of modifications, like even for the lunges, you could always have your knee down on the back foot, which makes the lunge a lot easier. So I appreciated that because I always love modifications and just knowing that I can do them. But yeah, definitely going to be a challenge for me to take these classes and try something new. But so far, first day, good, interesting, something new. It is now the next day. It's Thursday morning, so we're ready for the next yoga class. And I am a little worried about today's class because it is class 3, which is a 30-minute core redefined class. It is tagged beginner, but yesterday's class was also tagged beginner and there were definitely some hard parts in it. The description is discover new methods to engage your core and the impact it can have to your entire body. So anything with core makes me a little bit nervous, but I'm willing to try, see what it's like. So let's just hop on this mat and knock out this yoga class. Another interesting class for sure. So right at the beginning, he's like, this week builds on top of each other. So we'll be doing like a lot of things that we did in the foundations class yesterday, which makes sense. But I would say the majority of the class was kind of repeat from yesterday. So the first 20 minutes, I think we didn't do any new moves. We just did the same thing, lots of lunges, lots of standing poses, about like really rooting down to the ground, very small adjustments. But honestly, I feel like I could feel it even more today. And it was hard a lot of the time. Like it really started to burn because you're just like really doing the moves with such precision that you are activating muscles. At least I'm activating muscles that I don't typically use in these moves. So it's definitely like an interesting feeling. And I like that there's so much repetition because each time I'm like feeling it a little bit more. And then the last 10 minutes was where it got real juicy because that was where the core part came in. So we started off doing bicycles and he kind of lost me on this one. We like did them fast and then we did them slower. And he kind of gave some advice on like how to do them better, but I'm not sure if I really implemented it correctly. And then after that, we went into a plank. And again, he just gives you like very small modifications, like having your feet feel like they're pushing back and things like that, like really anchoring with your arms too. I feel like anchoring is a very common piece of advice. And that also was kind of like, I don't know if I really feel it different than a normal plank. But then we got into bridge pose, and I actually really, really like bridge pose, do it all the time in yoga. The biggest thing that stuck with me from that was he was like, when you're doing it, really try to first root down your elbows because we were doing it like our elbows were in a 90 degrees angle. He's like, root down the elbows really hard, and then your feet, make sure that you're pressing down with all 4 corners of your feet. And man, oh man, that really activated the bridge pose for me. And I really felt it a lot more after that. So very interesting. I feel like more stretched out now. I feel like I'm ready to work out, which is good because I'm going to do a strength class after this. But it is interesting. I don't really see how this works into my like workout routine that much, but it is a cool program. It really does feel like a workshop and like you're just like hanging out with Ross because there's like a lot of breaks in between stuff and it's like, okay, like try this. Okay, cool. Like try that, which it is fun. It's just very interesting, very different than what I'm used to. So really like 8 out of 10 to today's classes. Lost me on some of the core stuff, but I am sure that we'll repeat it in future classes. So hopefully I'll get it done. And I'm really starting to see the power of little adjustment of muscles. It is now the next day. It is Friday, which, you know, I love Fridays. So today we're doing class 4 recommended for day 3. It is a 30-minute asymmetry strategy, tagged intermediate, and the description is utilize oppositional force to tap into more of the body's power. So I really don't know what that means besides that I think we'll probably be doing isometric things. Let's just start this class. Ross always surprises me. I'm excited to see what I'll learn today. That class was like 60% lunges. It was pretty hard. The main focus was when you were in a lunge or when you were in basically any of the movements we did to try to push your thigh back, which was interesting because he's like, yeah, naturally your thigh like moves forward and it's not symmetrical, and you can really feel the difference when you push the thigh back, and it's not like necessarily harder. It's just not something that I do naturally, and I think a lot of people do naturally. So it was interesting. I've never heard that advice before, and you can like really feel a difference in the moves and really feel like more balanced if you are pushing the thigh back. So it was a good thing to workshop, but man, doing so many lunges was kind of tough. We did like a couple standing positions, and then at the end we worked on our bridge pose, but the bridge pose is also getting very hard now because we hold it for a long time, and like we're doing so many like little adjustments that it really burns as well. So definitely a harder day than the last 2 days. Not really getting the heart rate up just in terms of strength and like holding the lunges. But today I would say like is the most useful so far. I feel like they're all building on top of each other, so I don't know how much you get out of it if you only took today's class, but I feel like I see the most translation into like my normal practice and how easy it is to make the adjustment if you're conscious of it. So 10 out of 10, really enjoyed today's class. It is now 2 days later. It's Sunday morning because yesterday was the only rest day in this program, but now I'm ready to get right back into it. So today's class is class 5. It's 30-minute the symmetry strategy, lower body, tagged intermediate. The description is modern life can pull us out of balance. Consciously align it with your deeper instincts to find a healthy balance in life. And I think it's interesting that this is tagged like lower body because I feel like in the past classes, we've also focused a lot on lower body, like doing lunges and like pushing into the floor, moving your thigh back. So I'm interested to see how this like differentiates from the other classes. But you know, every day is a surprise in this program. So let's just hit the mat and take this yoga class. I actually really enjoyed that class. I feel like we're really like picking up momentum that now we're getting into everyday yoga poses. So again, a lot of lunges, but also like downward dogs, 3-legged downward dogs, triangles, and really workshopping them and getting into the things that we need to improve. So today there was a really big focus on like flexion and inflection and how that makes us want to rotate our bodies one way or another, and then how we can like fight against it. So definitely very minuscule adjustments and very hard to see through the eye. But when Ross talks you through them, I could really feel the difference. And I've never taken technical yoga classes before. I basically just have taken like Peloton and Equinox classes. So I've learned the moves by just seeing somebody else do the moves and trying to replicate them. And like I have gotten form correction motion before, but it's hard to even see this unless if you're just really focusing on it. So I think it was really cool and interesting to like learn about this stuff and feel the difference. And it's definitely something that I see myself bringing into like future yoga flow classes. We got into some very basic and simple slow yoga flows today, but very, very slow because there was just so many things to focus on in terms of like rotation and pushing your thigh back and rooting to the ground. We definitely keep building in these classes, like this program structured very well that it gets like a little more complicated each time, but you just feel it so much. And I'm really excited to see what the last two classes are like, just because we've built to have like such momentum now that we're getting into like these cool moves and I'm like really feeling the adjustments. So loved the class today and I'm very excited to see what is next. It is now Monday morning and I'm ready to get right back into this program. Today is class 6, which is the 30-minute The Symmetry Strategy Upper Body Tagged Intermediate. The description is modern life can pull us out of balance. Consciously align with your deeper instincts to find a healthy balance in life, which is the exact same description as yesterday. So I assume it's going to be pretty similar, probably a lot of like kind of opening up your chest since it's upper body, but I really don't know what to expect. I really liked yesterday's class. So let's just hit the mat and take this yoga class. That was definitely not my favorite class in this program. I feel like it kind of just stretched on too long. Like, I guess he wanted to make all the classes 30 minutes for consistency, but I feel like he could have said what he wanted to say in like 10 to 15 minutes. Some of it was about symmetry in the upper body. Like we had to lean to our right and left and be like, oh, like which one is easier? Because whichever one is easier is like your lower back can open up more. So it was interesting to do that. But then the majority in the rest of the class was just about like opening your chest, which definitely is important. I just don't know if I need like 25 minutes of practice with it. It kind of felt like you didn't have enough content for the whole 30 minutes because we did like some lower body lunges and then we did some upper body symmetry things. And then we went on the ground, worked on bridge pose. And then like we went back to downward dog and like lunges again, which was a little odd because usually like once we're on our backs, we're on our backs for the rest of the class. And then like we went back to the bridge pose again. It just felt like it could have been organized a little bit better and that there just like wasn't enough content. So then he was just kind of like, what can we repeat here? So not a bad class, but definitely not something that I would ever take again. So take that as you will. I think that the symmetry and like opening up on either side was pretty interesting, but yeah, just a lot of content that I think we could have skipped over today. It is now the last day of the program. It's Tuesday morning and today's class is 45 minutes long. It is called Embrace, Integrate, and Thrive, Tagged Intermediate, and the description is embrace where you are, integrate somatic awareness you can apply in both your practice and life. So I would assume this is going to be like a big culmination of everything we've done. I am a little worried. 45 minutes is a little long, but you know, going in with an open mind, hope that we do some good flows today. And let's just hit the mat and knock out this last yoga class. I thought that class was a great wrap up for the program. Definitely a little on the long side, but compared to yesterday, it felt like we actually had content to cover because we were basically just reviewing everything that we've done this entire week. A lot of it has built on each other, but we did a lot of lunges, we did a lot of chest openers, we did bridge pose, We really did it all. He also introduced some new things like some more advanced restorative poses. We did a split stretch and he taught us how to stretch our IT bands better. We also did like a power restorative downward dog, which was quite hard. We did not hold it for that long, but it was definitely cool to kind of take everything we've learned this week and apply it to some harder poses. So I really enjoyed this class. I think that it was just a really great wrap up and I actually really enjoyed this program. Definitely some days more than others. And I think at the beginning it was a little more boring, but we had to like learn the foundation obviously, so then we could advance it and start applying it. Also today was a lot more like flowing. Definitely not the speed of a normal yoga flow class, still very slow, but a lot more moving than at the beginning. It was a lot of like workshop where it'd be like, do something, stop, let me talk for a while, do something again. This was definitely more of a typical yoga class, but still slower than a typical yoga class. So don't worry if that intimidates you. I do think that this program would benefit beginners and would be accessible to beginners. Like none of the moves are that difficult, although sometimes we hold lunges for quite some time. But I think that you would also benefit if you had like a basic understanding of yoga, if you've done these moves before, because then you can kind of really feel the difference of like what you were doing wrong before and how to correct it. Like I think he assumes you know most of the basic moves already, and then he will like give you little modifications. But really, I think it would be good for everyone. And I think that it's a very interesting program to take if you're interested in learning kind of more of the technicalities of yoga. I really appreciated it as someone that's basically only learned yoga by watching other people. So it felt good to really like get into it and figure out how I can make my moves better. And I definitely see myself taking these skills and applying them to future yoga flows because it feels good. And I feel like it's easier to get into the pose like when you kind of know what you should be doing. Like a big thing is pushing your thigh bone back, and that makes it easier for me to like get into lunges and other positions. So just overall, really, really great program. Really liked Ross. I don't think you need to do this program in 1 week, but now you're kind of forced to, unless if you're going to like fool around with the program on Peloton. And it is like kind of a time commitment for a week because it's a half hour almost every single day. But I do think that it is worth taking. Let me know if you've taken this program. If so, what you think of it. I really liked it. I would love for them to come out with more technical programs like this one, maybe in other specialties like running or cycling. I don't really know what it'd look like, but I would be interested. I don't think I would take this program again just because it's more of a learning program compared to like the split programs where you're like building strength. Now that I've learned and got everything I can get out of this program, I want to take more yoga flows on Peloton, apply what I've learned in this program. That is it for this video. I hope you guys are staying safe, having an awesome week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.